Yeah. So, okay, I have many relationships. So let's say, you have fact table and one single fact table, and I have 4 dimensions, and these 4 dimensions has many relationship between them. So let's say we have a student. A student has many relationship with classroom group, and classroom group to classroom has a one-to-many relationship, and teacher and classroom has a many-to-many relationships. Now I'm actually I like to actually build a model and see really how the QlikView is actually handling this. But if you're covering any that kind of modeling in the future, then maybe you can skip now. We can just move on to the class. But if you're not, maybe I can Or in the future, are we gonna talk about more advanced topics about this modeling? Because if I read book. It cover a bit, but it doesn't answer the questions I have.
Yeah, I mean, we would be covering few properties of modeling and creating the model and all. But this many-to-many is like, I mean, it's just the understanding. It's like QlikView is always, I mean, it doesn't matter to QlikView whether it's one-to-many or many-to-many. It's basically how you group it. So if you're telling student.
Yeah, we have a student. Let's say, okay, so my plan is have a link table, right? Of course, your classroom student and the classroom group. Let's call it class group, and we have a classroom on the.
So you have a class group or classroom?
A classroom. Oh no, no. Class.
So one
class
student
group.
can attend.
No, student to classroom group. Class group, then classroom, then classroom, and then teacher, and teacher. So there are 4 objects, entities within subjects, and these are each dimension. Yeah, student to classroom is many-to-many relationship. Student to class group is many-to-many.
Okay, so one student can attend many class groups, right?
Yeah, and vice versa.
And one class group can have many students, is what you're telling.
Yeah, classroom, and classroom group.
One minute. What is class group here? I got it classroom and teacher, but what is class group here?
Yeah, so I mean, in my organization, my company, we have teacher, because you have a classroom, and the classroom can further grouped by group of students. So imagine if you have a classroom and you segment those classroom. Maybe you have 10 students, but we have 3 students. You may be very good students, so you want to assign different tasks to them, and you have will be group of another 3, which is upper medium level students. You see, so we have a concept that we have a classroom, and we also have a group within the classroom. Does it make sense?
So one student will fall in 2 groups like this. So one student in A group, one student in B group.
Yeah. So many-to-many there. Like a classroom group and classroom has a one-to-many relationship. So one classroom can be 2. Yeah, one classroom can have a multiple classroom group.
Okay.
Yeah, but not vice versa. So it's a one-to-many. So one is a classroom, many is class group. Yeah.
So okay, so class group B will always be in only one classroom. It won't be in 2 classrooms.
Yeah. Or let's say you say that that's not possible because AB has a class group B, right? So each one has only one, so unique. One many means AB has one ABC, something like that. What AB class group can have ABC class group. But now you have a many class group can have each two. Yeah.
Then so technically in QlikView you don't have teacher.
Teacher and classroom is multiple, many to many. So which means more than 2 teachers can manage 1 classroom. So it's very complicated. So what my plan was...
Yeah, go ahead. See, this, if you would have done this in a traditional data model, the only thing you would have got into a challenge was querying it, right? So querying was a big challenge for you to actually do this report on it. So what I would suggest is load this table into QlikView, student, class, group, classroom, teacher. So in QlikView, it doesn't matter what is it. So this many to many, one to many is right. This has no much significance in QlikView. Because, see, if you link all of these tables, right, so you know the associative property of QlikView, right? So let me just show it to you.
And fact table has class student ID. So fact table has linked to class to student. That is the thing.
Okay. No. Your example is nothing but simple. It's like this. It's like this movie database.
Okay.
Right. So one director, multiple titles. One title, multiple actors. One actor, multiple directors, multiple titles. Right. So this your example is something like this, right?
Okay.
Because one director would have worked in multiple titles.
Yeah.
One title will have multiple actors, but this actor, Maxim Munzuk, would have worked with multiple directors, right? Is there something similar to what you have, right?
Okay. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Can you show me the data model? I don't know how it's being handled in QlikView. That's why I'm actually interested. But okay.
So this is nothing. See, this is simple QlikView property. That's the whole.
Yeah.
No, there's no link table. I'll explain. 1 second. Hold on. It's a simple QlikView concept. See, director, title, actor are 3 separate tables. Now the relationship between them is many to many. It doesn't matter to QlikView. You have loaded the tables and you have linked them with appropriate keys. You have linked the director, you have linked the title, you have linked the actor. Now these 3 things are independent, right? In QlikView, what happens is these 3 are coming from different tables. Because of the linking, if whenever I select title, the respective director and actors gets filtered. When I select director, the respective title and actor get filtered. That's the associative property of QlikView, which will allow you to do this analysis. That's why I think you have not, they don't really talk much about this many to many, one to many kind of relationships, because it does not have too much significance in analytical, in QlikView. So if you look at it, there is no link table and all. It's just the flims. If you look at it, so this flim has flim ID length, title is here. Flim ID is linked to the actor, flim ID is linked to the director.
Yeah.
Right? So the common ID between them is flim ID. There is no link table, there is no complicated logic over here. Yeah, forget about this length range and all. But if you look at this, the actual tables, right? It's only the flims, flim count, actors and directors. It's a simple linking and there's no complication.
Okay, let's say because this I can see the modeling here right now. Let's say we have fact table now, right? The fact table contains the student result. Now that result has a student ID, so it has relationship with only student dimension now. From that diagram you just had, it doesn't have a relationship with class or classroom group. Now you are saying that the fact table has to have a classroom group ID and classroom group ID, right? But it doesn't have it.
No, not necessary. You just link the fact table to the student ID. Suppose your flims is the student and this one has the student ID. So if this is your length, is your student ID, just link the table to the student ID. Like I said, we'll try to make, we'll try to make the star schema, but like I said, in a traditional method where there is no data warehouse, it is very difficult to get a star schema. what I would suggest is go ahead, may follow the snowflake schema.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Your fact table.
Yeah.
Only to the student ID, and then do your analysis and let me know if that is helping you or not.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I see. I think I should try. I think I should. I was going to then I thought if I just ask a little bit faster instead of me trying. I can see what you're saying. I think QlikView just automatically handles because you just have to tell this ID and this ID and relationship, and it just works out.
All right.
Those relationship.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, don't get result. So that's why there's nothing like really advanced. I mean, in that kind of a like scenario where many to many, and it's not really relevant. That's one of the main reasons of having QlikView. So this associative property eliminates that kind of ambiguity in the entire project. Otherwise, imagine for every query, if you start thinking about one-to-one, many-to-many kind of relationship, and it's all. There's no point in using QlikView kind of a thing.
Okay, so because if you, let's say student A has a relationship with two teachers, right? So if I drag teacher and then we have teacher A and B who has the same student, right? So the student has the score a 100 score, and the teacher A, under teacher A, it will appear as a 100 score. Teacher B also 100 score. Well, when I drag teacher school level, because the two teachers under one school, I want to say it's a 100, not 200. Does it make sense? Because under the school level, you have the student A has a score 100. So when I display student score for that school, it should be displayed as a 100. Yeah? Because
it will.
Yeah. But when I drag teacher, it has to display 200 because teacher A and teacher B share the same student. So you should be scoped display as 100 and 100. But the total has to be 100, not 200. Does it make sense? Because it's duplicate counting. Does it work in that way? You know?
Okay. Yeah. No, I get the point. So so what in this scenario, what happens is, suppose you select a particular student, so it will filter all the if you select a director, it will filter all the films. Now you want to filter a particular thing. So over here, what you'll have to do is, say over here your ID is student ID, right? This is your student ID, right?
Yeah.
What is the ID in class group? Student ID.
Yeah.
Right? And class group ID you have?
Yeah.
I mean, does your table have this?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yes, that's right.
Does this have this?
Yeah.
Then for teacher you have all of these three along with teacher.
Hang on. The classroom, there's no student ID. Just group ID and group ID. Yeah, of course, no ID. Again, the classroom ID and teacher ID. Yeah. There's no class group ID on the teacher. Yeah.
Okay. So you link it this way. Okay.
So I can see if I just push into QlikView or make a link by
this.
Yeah. It's just gonna link like that.
Then you link this to this.
Yeah.
So continue to follow the link. You don't have to create one whole link. Just follow the link. Okay. It will work. If you pick a teacher ID based on the classroom ID, we'll pick the class group ID, we'll pick the student, and we'll pick the student.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna build a sample there and see how it actually works. Yeah, okay. I see. Oh, that's good. Pretty cool.
All right.
Very cool.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Alpana side, were you able to follow?
Me?
There's no like.
Yeah.
No, sorry. Not
I get it. Yeah,
I was asking Alpana.
Okay. Yeah, because in SSAS, I have to create that relationship. The link table has to be there. The mapping table to manage the many-to-many. If I wasn't sure how it can be done in QlikView, but yeah, it's very clear now.
Yep. Okay, so back to yesterday, what we were doing. So we tried this apply map, right? So if you remember, we did this apply map. We got the extra tax amount, and to calculate the updated tax amount, I told we'll have to do this step, a second step. Were you able to find out how to eliminate this step? Any testing?
I couldn't do the recording. What I received was very small, so was not able to see properly. So I have requested again.
Okay. 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 The step is, the simplest thing to do is, so you can just eliminate this step directly. So what you can do is, so here we'll just this temp. This apply map is right, so it returns the value. So I'm getting the extra tax amount over here. Instead of making it a column, right, I can directly use it to multiply it to the tax amount. Instead of taking it into a second query and doing it, I can directly do this, right? So while doing transformation, I can do a lot of formulas and functions. Right? I can do a lot of formula and function updation. Now, based on this formula and function updation, I can call these functions within functions. Now, this is like a formula, right? Tax into apply map. So I can directly apply this. Now, this is one of the most powerful feature of apply map, basically, because when you're doing any transformation, and if you want a particular field which is not there, or a particular value which is not there in the table, it is very easy to get it. So you can just load a mapping load and get that value out here. So you can do that in territory. You can use it multiple places by doing only one apply map load. So if you look at it. Now over here I don't have to worry about doing a join first, then second load, then calculate. I just have to load that once with apply map and apply the formula in the script. So I immediately get the updated tax amount. There's no second process, nothing. So direct. So I have the updated tax amount.
Like the QVD optimization.
No, the QVD optimization fails. For that you'll have to do that second step. But yeah, when you have small amounts of data, you can directly do this. Like I said, QVD optimization is valid only for two things. Only when you alias a name or when you use a where exist. Apart from those two things, QVD optimization will break for all of the functions or anything that you do in the script. Now let's calculate now this order date, right? So order date, and let's see how many days it was open till date. So I'm not considering whether it is shipped or whether it is closed or open. I'm just going to consider for all of the orders what was the date that is open. So I'm going to use order date today minus order date. Any questions on the apply map? So I have the order dates. So the dates are open. So there are like most of the orders are open. I mean, obviously this data is like a 2012 data, not even 2012, much older to that. And if I bring out this kind of number of days, so it is pretty old. So 2,386 days open and open. So 3,000. Now if I want to categorize this, right, like taking, okay, what I will do is, let me just bring some realistic dates. The last date is 7/31/2008. So now I have something realistic open dates. So one order is open for 30, 40 days, 200 days, 1,000 days. Now if I want to categorize this, right, so let's say this, I want to categorize these dates into 0 to 30 days, 31 to 50 days, 51 to 100 days, or 31 to 90 days, 91 to 180 days, and 182. So when what I want to give the user option is, so when the user selects 0 to 30, right, all the sales orders based on this days open, 0 to 30 should be open, and all when he selects any of these things, all of those should be open. Right. When he selects 180 to 500, all the orders which are in the 180 to 500 days open category should be highlighted. So that is something that we'll have to build. Now to do that, what we will do is, say in a traditional methodology, what you do is take this days open, right, build an if condition. So you write an if condition. If days open is greater than, you start with 0, you start with 500, then you go backwards, or anyway, whichever method the query, I mean, the developer is comfortable in the query. So you write a big if condition. One method is that you can definitely achieve it by that, but it becomes a maintenance challenge and it is like a long process. Again, if condition will end up eating up all your processing time. For that, what QlikView did was it brought in a better method to do it. So first what I will do is I will create an interval match table. Okay. So this is my description. Okay. For this description, I will add a start value, start date, end, start, end. Okay. So start is 0 to 30. End is, start and end is 0 to 30. 31 to 90. 91 to 180. 180 to 500, and 500 to, I'll just write a boolean thing of 10,000 or 1 lakh. Okay. Give me a second. We'll categorize these descriptions and we'll create one table. So I'll take this table now. Now this table can be in an Excel file, or I can directly put that into QlikView. For now I'll put this into QlikView. I'm going to create an inline load, update this. Right, so I have a table with the start and end column and a description column. Now I'm going to load this description. Okay, so I'll name this as interval description. Now I'm going to load why the left join, I'll explain it to you. I'll use a function called interval match. In that function, I'm just gonna use the field days open. Okay, it doesn't matter which table it is. I'll just, in the interval match function, I'll use the days open. I'll say load start and end date. Okay, it's not the date, sorry, start or end, resident interval description. Okay. Now what will happen is QlikView is going to take the value days open field, right? So we have couple of values in days open. So it's going to pick the value, suppose it is 20. So it's going to pick the value, it's going to come and look between start and end. So is it falling between 0 to 30, right? 20 is falling between 0 to 30. It's going to take it and assign the value 2 to 0 to 30, right? Now I'm doing left join over here. So this resultant table, this query, right, these two lines are going to give me something like this. So 0 to 30, days open 20, right? It's going to give me 3 columns. The end result will be 3 columns. This is start, this is end, this is days open. Now if I take this table and do a left join to this table, what will happen is, based on start and end date, the left join is going to happen, and I'm going to get a complete table under interval description where I will have all the days open. So whatever values are there in the application for days open, that will be there. Based on that days open, it will categorize 0 to 30, 31 to 90, and 90 to 91. So let's see this, how this works out. I'll just save it, reload. Now my interval match is done. It's a small step that I did. Now if I look at my data model, end of it is I have an intervals description table. So preview it. So just like I said, days open 30, 0 to 30, 72, 31 to 90, 151, 91 to 180. Right? The left join is categorized. I mean the intervals has categorized the days open, and left join is processed. Now if I just select the field description, and allow the user to select it. So this is how you do all your aging analysis. I mean, wherever you have aging, the best method to do is an interval match. It is fast, it is easy. It is less. If you imagine tomorrow they say, okay, your client tells, I want to change the start and end date. I don't want to have this value. So he might come over and say, okay, I want to start from 0 to 45 days. Or I want to add another one where it says 31 to 45. Right? 0. So I can say 31 to 45. From here, I just have to change it to 46. I don't have to rechange my if condition. Imagine if I had written this in if condition, I had to write another big if to manage this 31 to 45. I just updated this in table, reload this. Now the table can be maintained externally outside QlikView in an Excel file, and the Excel file access can be given to a user, to basically anybody who wants to access. There are no records in between 31 to 45. If you see this, 30 is the last, 48 is the next. So there is nothing, that's why it's blank. But our logic is working as intended. This can be done for dates, this can be done for age, numbers, right? So you can put a start date, end date. So instead of 0, 30, you can give the dates and the description. Then you can play around with the dates and everything. Any questions here?
For that, yeah, like I'm just trying to understand, in general, if we are giving if condition, we'll give the condition, this is the start date, like if it is less than or greater than, like that. In this case, how it will like categorize which one is started, and like we can give some other name also to the column what you have loaded the inline code.
I didn't stress on it. So this load, the field names can be anything: start date, end. You can give any field, okay? Any field name. Over here, what you update, right? The sequence is what is important. So whichever column is first is the starting value. Whichever column is the second is the end value. As a developer with Applymap and interval match, I was very much impressed with QlikView because it saved me a lot of querying time, right? Or building breaking my head on complex analysis to do. I hope you also like these features. Okay, for today I'll show you another small topic and maybe you can practice and we could continue next. So we have, generally you might, I don't have it in the database, the actual data that we are doing. So I don't have any blank columns or anything. But while you're doing some like data or project, you might come across this scenario where you'll have the salesman ID, right? So salesman IDs are there, and accordingly the data is there. So data is some sales data basically. Now, for a couple of them it is there, and couple of them it is not there, or it's like a target. Now wherever it is blank, so they would suggest, like the client requirement is load the previous value. Right, so I have the 45, just go ahead and load the 45 value is what your requirement might be. Now for that requirement, there are two ways of doing it. One is the previous and the peak. So peak and previous are two functions. Right. We will have more functions and analysis on it, but not now, so as we move forward. I'll come back to peak tomorrow. So today we'll just do the previous one. Suppose I load this table, okay? So I'll go ahead and load this table. For previous, I'll say finish. Right. Now what happens is, typically like in scripting, like how in SQL you have functions, like that only in QlikView also you have multiple functions. So you can take data, so you can write in previous function. So how do you write? If you'll have to first test whether it is null or not. So if data is null, then previous data else data as updated data. I can't create one, basically I can't do it in the same field. I can't, while loading, I can't do it using previous. So previous allows me to create a separate field by doing this. Now let's see what happens when I do this. So if you look at it, my updated data column has everything. Right, so wherever it was blank, it picked up the previous value. Now this previous actually function gave me one more, this another challenge. When it has 2, right? So what it is doing is it is referring to the previous column, to the actual database column. It is not referring to the updated data column. That one of that reason, it's like over here it updated the previous value from 87. Over here also it's blank because it updated the previous value which was blank in the data column. So this is a typical problem in previous. So that's why we don't really use previous unless it is only for comparison purpose. When we update this, I wanted to show you the example of updating data, but this is not the ideal scenario that you would use previous. You'd use previous wherever you want to compare something against the previous value of another table. So for filling up value, this kind of scenario, we have the peek. I think I'll rather do it off. And then we have a couple of minutes. So we have something called as peek. Now what peek does? Peek is nothing but like a function of previous. Okay. If is null data, peek new data. Now if you look at it, this is my salesman ID. This is my data. I am checking whether the data field is null. Yes, it is null. If it is null, I am applying the previous data. Okay, peek -1. Peek as such is a function. The parameters for peek is you pass on the field value that you want to peek into, and you pass on the number that you want the value from. So I'll explain the -1 concept. So this whole function will return you exactly the previous value in the application. If it is not null, so data. Now this will fill up all the rows as intended. If you look at it, wherever it was 54, it filled up 54, 34, 34. Now what peek is doing is, if I send this to Excel, so when I start from peek, right, so peek is like a runtime peeking into a table which is being processed. Okay. It's like checking the memory. So you understand that when I load the script, so this script processes record by record. So though like it's a query script, obviously it will process record by record, and as the records load, all those records are going into memory. So what will happen is QlikView will start from the first record. So if this is the first record, it will start loading it. So if I have to, it will start first, the second, third, fourth, fifth, record by record, it will be uploaded into memory. Now when I stand at this 15th record, right, technically all the 14 records are already, or the 13 records are already in the memory, right? When I stand to 20th record, all the 19 records are already in memory. When I stand to 23rd, all the above ones are all in the memory. Now when I do a previous, right, previous will just look at the previous value of the table, of the source table. It won't look at the value in the memory. Now peek does exactly the other side of it. It can look into the memory of the entire QlikView application. Not only this table, suppose if I have loaded 10 different tables already, right? So I can use peek to check a particular value in a table which is loaded in the memory during runtime. I'm telling you, this is during runtime. So what happens is, if you look at it here, salesman ID is data. So data is going to run. It updated the data. This is not blank. It updated data. Now when it found this field to be blank, it checked the memory over here. It checked the new data memory. In the memory, it checked what does the new data have. So it updated 45. Similarly, when it came here, right, this is blank. So it checked for 87. It got it. Then second again it was a blank. It again checked for the new data field, not for the the actual source data field. So that's how I passed it. Now the concept of peek is, suppose a record by record loading, right? So when I stand on 8th record, so QlikView has a mechanism of indexing. Not QlikView as such, for this peek, they have created a mechanism of indexing. So the load starts from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, when I'm at the 9th record, when this record is being loaded, the last previous records are from 0 to 6. When this gets loaded, 0 to 7. This gets loaded, 0 to 8. While from the top it is positive, okay, from the bottom it is the negative way. Suppose I am at the 11th record. From the top it is 0 to 8. Now if I go from the bottom, it becomes -1, -2, -3. So it's a two-way indexing kind of a thing, wherein from the bottom it is in the negative and from the top it is positive. Now if I have to refer to any row, so these two are indexed, right? If I have to refer to any row while it is updated, so if I say row number 5, so the function that I created, right, peek new data, if I say -4, it will pick up this value, right? It will pick up this value. If I say -3, it will pick up this value. -1 is exactly the previous value. If I say 0, 0 will pick up the first value. So this way I can control which index or which field. So generally while using peek, yeah, definitely you will not be able to pass, because this will change for every record loaded into the memory. Suppose I finish this record, right? I am here. So for every record it will keep changing the value. So this, from the top the value is a sequential, it will continue, but from the bottom again it will realign itself. So it will start from -1 over here. Right, -1. So yeah, so from the positive, if you take the positive reference, it is hard to tell which is the last record, because the last record keeps changing for every load, right? And if you take the negative, it is hard to tell which is the first record, because again the negative keeps changing. Okay, I didn't get that question.
What if the first data, like salesman ID you have written and the data you have written, right? What if that 34 is null? Like if for the first this one record you don't have any corresponding value for that, then since we are doing peek, it will take from the previous one, right? But here, if the first record itself is null, then from where it will take the data?
Okay, no, over here we have no relation to the first data. So I understand if you're telling like this, right? If this is null, so from where will the peek take, right?
No, no. The row number 2, what you have written, 510295, that's salesman ID, and that corresponding value to data is 34. If that 34 is null.
When the first record is null, you're telling, right? Okay. If both are null, see it will pass null only. So if it is null, so there'll be nothing. So you can pass the value. Okay. If you don't find the value, update it as 0 only. So there'll be no other go for us. So if the first record is null, then yeah, we can't get any previous value, right? If you don't have any previous value, we'll have to build a logic. If it is first record and if it is null, then please update it as 0 or 1 or anything else.
What you were telling, if in case salesman ID is null, then how it will take any salesman ID?
Salesman ID has no relationship to this. So what will happen is, see, if the salesman ID is null and still the record is there. So this is one record, right? We are going by record per se. So we are going by the field data and record. There is no relationship for the salesman ID. So we are not checking whether salesman ID is there, then only perform it. So salesman ID is independent of this. or this is completely independent of the salesman ID. Whether it is there or not there, it doesn't really affect us. So if you look at it, if I change the peak
like
to
you were
0,
showing,
right? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. So if I use the 0, so it has updated all the blank columns, all blank rows with 34. That's the first value. Yeah, Alpana, I was just trying to show that changing the value. What was your question?
No, I was just, can you get back to the Excel, please?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you were showing that indexing is done by like both ways we can do, right? I just wanted to clarify, like you are telling we can go from 0 to till the end of the record, whatever maybe the number, and from -1, -2, -3, -4. Both way we can like
Right.
track. Okay.
Right. Yep.
Okay. I got it. Thank you.
So what I would suggest is, yeah, go ahead and practice this. So tomorrow we'll see a couple of more things using Peek, and then we'll follow our class. All right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.